Michael Bradford stood in the emergency board meeting, his expensive suit drenched in sweat, when Rebecca Stone, our CEO, asked him the question that made his face turn white. Michael, why have we been locked out of our own client management system for 72 hours? 2 weeks ago, he'd called me into his office and fired me for redundancy with a smug smile. He thought I was just another disposable employee. He thought he could replace me in a week. He had no idea that I held the keys to the entire kingdom. This is the story of how I made a VP realize that some people aren't redundant, they're irreplaceable. And trust me, watching him beg was worth every second. My name is Jessica Chen. For 5 years, I'd been the Senior Systems Administrator at Horizon Digital Solutions, one of the fastest-growing marketing tech firms in San Francisco. At 28, I was single, living in a tiny studio apartment and completely devoted to my work. I'd built Horizon's entire back-end infrastructure from the ground up, every server, every database, every security protocol. When I started, we had 12 clients. By this time, we had over 300. I didn't just know our systems, I was our systems. I worked 60-hour weeks. I answered emails at 2 in the morning. When servers crashed on Christmas Eve, I was the one fixing them while everyone else was opening presents. I loved my job. I was brilliant at it, and everyone knew it. Everyone except Michael Bradford. Michael Bradford was hired as VP of Operations 8 months before this story begins. 6'1", salt and pepper hair, and the kind of smile that made you want to check if your wallet was still in your pocket. He came from a Fortune 500 background. At least that's what he told everyone. Lots of buzzwords, lots of synergy and paradigm shifts, but very little actual knowledge about how our company worked. From day one, something felt off about Michael. Red flag number 1 came during his first week. I'd spent 3 months designing a new security protocol that would save us hundreds of thousands in potential breach costs. I presented it in a department meeting with charts and data. Michael listened, nodded, and then 2 days later presented my entire proposal to the executive board, with his name on it. When I confronted him privately, he said, "Jessica, in the real world, it's about who presents the idea, not who has it. Consider it a learning experience." Red flag number 2 happened during our Q2 review. I'd successfully migrated our entire database infrastructure with 0 downtime, a project that typically would have required outside consultants costing $500,000. I did it for the cost of new servers. My review? Meets expectations. No bonus, no raise, no recognition. When I asked Michael about it, he said, "You did your job, Jessica. You want a medal for that?" Red flag number 3 was the hiring freeze he imposed on my department. I'd been requesting an assistant for 18 months. We were drowning in work. But Michael kept saying budget constraints, even though he somehow found the budget to hire his college buddy as a consultant at $200,000 a year. But the final straw came on a Tuesday morning in October. It was October 15th, 9:47 a.m. I was in my office reviewing server logs when I got a calendar invite. Meeting with Michael Bradford. Urgent. I walked into his office at 10 a.m. sharp. He was sitting behind his massive desk, typing on his phone, not looking up. I stood there for a full minute before he acknowledged me. "Jessica, sit down. This won't take long." Something in his tone made my stomach drop. "I'm sure you're aware we've been evaluating departmental efficiency. After careful consideration, we've decided to restructure IT operations. Your position has been deemed redundant. Today is your last day. HR will escort you out after this meeting. You'll receive 2 weeks severance." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. My heart was racing, but I kept my voice steady. "Redundant? Michael, I built every system we have. Who's going to manage?" "We're outsourcing to a managed service provider. More cost-effective. Your knowledge is appreciated, but frankly, anyone can manage servers these days. It's not exactly rocket science." He said it with a dismissive little smile, like I was a receptionist who could be replaced with a voicemail system. "I see. And you've already arranged this transition?" "It'll be seamless. The new team starts Monday. Clean break. Better for everyone." Better for everyone. Translation: Better for his budget, better for his bonus. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from pure, white-hot rage. But here's what Michael Bradford didn't know about me. I had a memory like a steel trap. I documented absolutely everything, and I was the only person in the entire company who knew where all the bodies were buried. Digital bodies, that is. Because while Michael was smiling his corporate snake smile, I was already thinking about the 217 unique passwords I'd created, the custom security protocols that existed nowhere except in my head, and the little insurance policy I'd set up 6 months ago, when I first started to suspect Michael was gunning for me. I understand. I assume I'll have time to create transition documentation? That won't be necessary. Like I said, the new team is experienced. They'll figure it out. Oh, they'd figure it out all right. I stood up, shook his hand, he seemed surprised I was taking it so well, and walked back to my office. Lisa Martinez from HR was already waiting there, looking uncomfortable. "Jessica, I'm so sorry. This came from above my head. I didn't even know until this morning." Lisa was one of the good ones. We'd had coffee together dozens of times. She'd fought for my raises that Michael had blocked. "It's okay, Lisa. Not your fault. I just need to grab my personal items." She nodded and waited by the door while I cleaned out my desk. What she didn't notice was me making one final login to our admin portal, accessing one specific configuration file, and changing exactly 3 lines of code. 3 lines that would make themselves known in exactly 14 days. Because here's the thing about redundancy. You don't know how important something is until it's gone. And Michael Bradford was about to learn that lesson the hard way. The next 72 hours were a blur of anger, anxiety, and, surprisingly, clarity. I filed for unemployment. I updated my LinkedIn. I reached out to my network. David Kim, our IT director, technically my former boss, though I rarely needed supervision, called me that evening. "Jess, what the hell happened? Michael just sent out an email saying you resigned to pursue other opportunities." "He fired me, David, called me redundant, said anyone can do my job." "That's insane. You're the only one who knows how half our systems work. Did you leave transition docs?" "He said it wasn't necessary. The new managed service team would figure it out." There was a long pause on the line. Oh no, Jess, please tell me you left them something." "I left detailed documentation on everything they need for the first 2 weeks. After that, well, they're experienced professionals. I'm sure they'll figure it out." I could hear David's sharp intake of breath. He knew. He understood exactly what I was saying. "Jessica, how bad is this going to be?" "That depends entirely on whether Michael calls me and apologizes in the next 14 days. He didn't call. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched from the outside as Horizon's perfect little machine started showing cracks. Day 3, the new managed service team arrived. According to my friend Sophie, who still worked in marketing, they spent the first day trying to figure out which servers controlled what. Day 5, a minor glitch in the email system. Nothing catastrophic, but embarrassing. Client emails bounced for about an hour. Day 7. The backup system failed. The new team restored it, but it took them 6 hours, something that would have taken me 20 minutes. I started getting text messages. From Lisa, "Michael is getting nervous. The new team keeps asking questions nobody can answer." From David, "They want your cell number. I told them I'd ask you." I didn't respond to David. I wasn't being vindictive. Okay, maybe a little vindictive, but mainly I was proving a point. Michael said I was redundant. Michael said anyone could do my job. Let's see how that worked out. Day 10. I got a LinkedIn message from the managed service team lead, Mark Stevens. "Hi, Jessica. We're handling the transition at Horizon. Could you answer a few questions about the authentication system architecture?" I responded professionally. "I'm no longer employed by Horizon Digital Solutions. Please direct all questions to Michael Bradford, VP of Operations." Day 12. I received an email, not from Michael, but from Rebecca Stone, our CEO. "Jessica, I hope this message finds you well. I was sorry to hear about your departure. If you have time this week, I'd love to take you to coffee and get your thoughts on potential consulting opportunities. Interesting. Very interesting. I replied that I'd be happy to meet, and we scheduled coffee for day 15, one day after my little insurance policy would activate. Day 14 came on a Monday morning. I was in my apartment, drinking coffee and scrolling through job postings when my phone started buzzing. Text after text. David, Jessica, call me, emergency. What the hell is happening? Everything's down. Please tell me you know what's going on. And then, the call I'd been waiting for, Michael Bradford. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Hello? Jessica, we have a situation. The client management system is completely locked. The new team can't access it. We need your help. No, hello. No, how are you? No, sorry for firing you. Just demands. I'm sorry, Michael, but I'm redundant, remember? Anyone can manage servers. I'm sure your experienced team will figure it out. Jessica, this isn't the time for games. We have clients calling. This is a crisis. It sounds like you need someone who knows your systems inside and out. Unfortunately, you let that person go 2 weeks ago. Have you tried calling the managed service provider? You know, the cost-effective solution? His breathing got heavy on the other end of the line. What do you want? Excuse me? What do you want? Money? Your job back? Name your price. I smiled. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. Michael, when you fired me, you said my knowledge wasn't valuable. You said anyone could do my job. You humiliated me. So no, I don't want to help you. Goodbye. I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined the call. He called 8 more times that day. I declined every single one. Over the next 24 hours, I watched Horizon Digital Solutions descend into complete chaos, all from my LinkedIn feed and texts from former colleagues. The client management system, the backbone of our entire operation, was completely inaccessible. No one could access client data, project files, contracts, nothing. The managed service team tried everything. They brought in their senior engineers. They contacted the software vendors. Nothing worked. Because what they didn't know was that I'd implemented a custom security protocol 6 months earlier. A dead man's switch, essentially. Every 14 days, I had to log in and verify my credentials. If I didn't, the system locked itself down in a proprietary encryption that only I could reverse. I'd documented this security feature in my personal files. I'd mentioned it in emails to David, but Michael Bradford, in his infinite wisdom, had told the new team that my documentation wasn't necessary. By day 15, Horizon was losing approximately $50,000 per hour in delayed projects and angry clients. That afternoon, I had my coffee meeting with Rebecca Stone, the CEO. We met at a quiet cafe in the financial district. Rebecca was 52, brilliant, and had built Horizon from a garage startup to a $50 million company. But she'd been hands-off with operations for the past year, trusting her VPs to run their departments. Jessica, I'll be direct. What the hell is happening with our systems? What did Michael tell you? He said there's an unexpected technical complication with the transition, but I've been getting calls from clients all day. This isn't a complication. This is a catastrophe. I pulled out my tablet and showed her my documentation. Everything. The security protocols I'd designed, the emails where I'd warned about the importance of proper transition planning, the record of Michael dismissing my concerns. So you're saying you can fix this? I'm saying I'm the only one who can fix it. That's why I was never redundant, Rebecca. Michael fired me to cut costs and boost his bonus. He didn't understand what I actually did. What do you want? I slid a piece of paper across the table. I'd spent 2 weeks preparing this. Reinstatement with back pay, public acknowledgement of my role, a 40% raise, Michael Bradford's resignation, and a guaranteed severance package that prevents this from ever happening again. Rebecca read it, her expression unreadable. That's extensive. Rebecca, you're losing $1 million a day right now. My demands cost you a fraction of that, and I'm the only person who can stop the bleeding." She looked at me for a long moment, then smiled. A real smile, not a corporate one. "Michael said you were a pushover. He was very wrong." "Yes, he was. I need to make some calls. Can you come to the office tomorrow morning? 9 a.m.? We'll have an emergency board meeting." I agreed. That night, I got a voicemail from Michael Bradford. His voice was shaking. "Jessica, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Just please help us fix this. We can work something out." Too little, too late. I walked into Horizon's main conference room at 9 a.m. on day 16, wearing my best interview suit. The emergency board meeting was already in session. Rebecca Stone sat at the head of the table. Board members I'd never met lined both sides. David Kim was there, looking relieved to see me. Lisa Martinez sat in the corner taking notes. And Michael Bradford sat at the far end, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Thank you for coming, Jessica. I've briefed the board on the situation. We'd like to hear directly from you what happened and what you need to resolve this crisis." I set my laptop on the table and connected it to the main screen. 2 weeks ago, Michael Bradford terminated my employment, citing redundancy. He stated that my role was unnecessary and that our systems could be easily managed by an outsourced team. I pulled up the first slide, Michael's own email to HR justifying my termination. This is his official justification. As you can see, he describes my position as low skill and easily replaceable. What Michael didn't understand is that over 5 years, I'd built Horizon's entire infrastructure using custom solutions designed specifically for our needs. I implemented security protocols that don't exist in any manual or textbook. I created systems that require specialized knowledge to maintain. I pulled up my documentation, page after page of technical specifications. I tried to explain this to Michael during my termination meeting. I offered to create transition documentation. He told me it wasn't necessary. One of the board members, an older gentleman named Harrison, spoke up. "So you're saying you sabotaged our systems?" "No, sir. I'm saying I implemented a security protocol that requires regular administrative verification. It's actually best practice in IT security, prevents unauthorized access if an admin account is compromised. I documented this protocol in my quarterly security reports." I pulled up those reports. They'd been sent to Michael's email. He'd never read them. Michael told the transition team that my documentation wasn't important. The managed service provider, despite being experienced professionals, didn't know about this security layer because Michael never shared my files with them. "Can you unlock the system?" "I can. The question is whether you want me to." Michael stood up, his face red. "This is extortion. She deliberately locked us out. She's holding the company hostage." "Actually, Michael, I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. You said I was redundant. You said anyone could manage these systems. I'm simply letting your solution play out. The managed service team you hired has had 16 days to figure this out. If they're as good as you claimed, they should be able to resolve this without me." The room went silent. "Michael, sit down." He sat, but his hands were clenched into fists. "I'm not holding anyone hostage. I'm simply no longer employed here. You have no legal right to my knowledge or my labor. If you want my help, we can discuss the terms of a consulting contract." I slid a copy of my demands across the table to Rebecca. One of the board members, a woman named Patricia, read them and looked up. "These are reasonable, actually, given the circumstances." "We're losing how much per day right now?" "Approximately 1.2 million. "Then this is a no-brainer. Jessica, we agree to your terms. Please fix our systems." Michael looked like he'd been slapped. "You're just going to give in to her demands? She did this deliberately." "Michael, be quiet. You created this situation. You fired our most critical employee without understanding what she did. You ignored her warnings. You dismissed her documentation. And now you're costing this company millions." She turned to me. "Jessica, in addition to the terms you've outlined, I'd like to offer you the position of IT director, replacing David, who will be promoted to CTO. David, are you okay with this?" David was grinning. "More than okay. Jess should have been my boss a long time ago." "Then it's settled. Jessica, welcome back. Now please, fix our systems. I opened my laptop, logged into the administrative portal, and entered my verification credentials. Within 30 seconds, the system unlocked. Everyone's phones started buzzing simultaneously as access was restored. Michael, you're suspended pending a full review of this situation. Please leave your badge with Lisa and go home. Michael's face went through about 15 different emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, anger, disbelief, fear. Rebecca, you can't. I can, and I am. This is the single biggest operational disaster in this company's history, and it happened entirely because of your incompetence and ego. Get out. Lisa stood up and held out her hand for his badge. He stood there for a moment, looking at me with pure hatred in his eyes. You planned this. You set me up. No, Michael. I protected our company with proper security protocols and documentation. You ignored both. I didn't set you up. You set yourself up. He threw his badge on the table and stormed out. The door slammed behind him. Rebecca looked at me. Welcome back, Jessica. Don't ever leave us again. In the weeks that followed, the dominoes kept falling for Michael Bradford. The board investigation revealed that he'd inflated his resume. His Fortune 500 experience was actually a 6-month stint as a middle manager at a company that went bankrupt. He'd been fired from his previous job for similar cost-cutting disasters. He'd also been skimming from departmental budgets, routing money to his consultant friend who did essentially nothing. That was embezzlement. Legal got involved. Michael was terminated for cause. No severance, no references. And because of the embezzlement charges, he ended up settling with the company to avoid prosecution, costing him about $200,000, roughly his entire annual salary. His LinkedIn went quiet. Last I checked, he was working as a business consultant somewhere in Arizona, the kind of consulting that's code for unemployed. The managed service provider was fired, and we brought IT back in-house. I hired a team of 6 talented people, trained them properly, and documented everything. We became one of the most efficient tech teams in the industry. As for Horizon Digital Solutions, we recovered within a month. Clients were furious initially, but Rebecca personally called every single one, explained what happened, and offered compensation. We didn't lose a single account. David thrived as CTO. Lisa got promoted to VP of Human Resources. The company's culture shifted. Rebecca started paying more attention to operations, and toxic management became something we actively screened for. And me? I got everything I asked for. The 40% raise brought my salary to $190,000 a year. I got my title, IT Director, then Senior IT Director. I got respect. But more importantly, I learned something crucial about my own worth. For years, I'd let people like Michael make me feel small. I'd accepted the "you should be grateful to have this job" mentality. I'd worked 60-hour weeks without complaint because I thought that's what dedication looked like. Michael Bradford taught me that sometimes the only way people understand your value is when you take it away. I'm 30 now. I'm engaged to a guy I met at a tech conference. He's a software developer who actually respects what I do. We're looking at houses in Oakland. I still work at Horizon, but I set boundaries now. I don't answer emails at 2 a.m. unless it's a genuine emergency. I take vacations. I delegate. And every time I walk past the office that used to be Michael's, now occupied by a competent, respectful VP who actually listens to his team, I smile. 6 months after all this happened, I got an email from Michael. Subject line, apology. I deleted it without reading it. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. Looking back, Michael Bradford made one critical mistake. He confused convenience with competence. He assumed that because I made everything look easy, it was easy. He thought that because I didn't brag about my accomplishments, they weren't valuable. He forgot that the sign of a truly skilled professional is that you never see them struggling because they've already solved the problems before they become visible. The truth is, every workplace has Jessica Chens. people who hold the whole operation together with expertise and dedication, but who get overlooked because they're not loud, not political, not playing the corporate game. If you're one of those people, hear this. Document everything, know your worth, set boundaries, and never, ever let someone convince you that you're redundant when you're actually irreplaceable. Oh, and one more thing. Remember that 40% raise I negotiated? Rebecca told me later that Michael's salary had been $220,000 a year, more than twice what I was making when he fired me. After he was terminated and I was promoted, my new salary was $190,000. The company was actually saving $30,000 a year by having me instead of him. Michael didn't just lose his job, he proved that I was never the redundant one. He was. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't what you do to someone, it's becoming so successful that them trying to destroy you becomes the biggest mistake of their career. Michael wanted to erase me from Horizon's story. Instead, he erased himself. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was more than happy to provide it.